I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream. Welcome to all your latest Chelsea transfer news. And of course, welcome to the home of the world champions. Big up to everyone that's already locked in. Make sure you smash up the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. As you can see, I'm joined by a guest today. Everyone's favourite Forest fan, YouTube's pantomime villain, good mate of mine, Wolfie. How are we doing, brother? You good?
I just can't believe you got world champions as your intro, bro. Like, seriously, that's shamelessness.
Bro, it's running for the next 4 years.
Yeah, congratulations on that friendly win, man.
You better get used to it, mate.
It's funny how you're not claiming champions of Europe.
No, the world trumps Europe. So we make champions of Europe, champions of the world, bro. Just champions of everything, you know.
Yeah, apart from the Premier League, yeah.
Apart from Premier League, which has been a while, maybe this year. Who knows? Who knows?
You're going to break 70 points. It's been a while.
No, we broke 70 points last year, didn't we? Or was it till the end of 60? I think we might have finished on 69.
Yeah, it's been a while since you broke 70, man.
It has, but ultimately, mate, if you're not winning the league, I don't care how many points we're on, as long as we're in a Champions League football. But yeah, guys, before we jump into it, as always, a quick reminder. Make sure you check out Jerseys FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. You can use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off your Chelsea kits for the upcoming season. Guys, make sure you're looking fresh in the home shirt, the away shirt, or, of course, the third kit when it drops. And people, make sure you get that World Champions badge on the chest. Great quality, affordable prices. Link is in the description. Wolfie even told me himself he's going to get one. So make sure you're looking good in the Chelsea kit, like myself, like Wolfie, for the upcoming season, guys. Make sure you check it out. Link is in the description. Bro, I'll get your thoughts on Chelsea, of course, but I just want to start with your thoughts on Forest. Obviously, you don't need reminding, but we did obviously end your Champions League hopes at your ground at the end of last season. I'm sure that's a distant memory for yourself now.
When did that happen?
But banter aside, bro, how are you feeling about what you've seen from Forest in the transfer window? I know your pre-season hasn't been particularly great. You've scored one goal in however many games you've played. However, we took a few beatings in pre-season and last season turned out all right. So it's not the be-all and end-all, but yeah. What are your thoughts on what you've done on the window so far? Obviously, Alanga left for decent money in the end. You've bought in Ndoye, the winger from Bologna. Obviously, I've got a backup goalkeeper, and Angus Gunn has come in. I don't know if you've done anything else or not, but what are you saying with how the squad and the team are shaping up?
Yeah, it still needs a lot of work. We got Igor Jesus, Brazilian striker, Jair Cunha.
Oh yeah, of course, your dodgy John Textor deals. How did I forget about them?
What's so dodgy about it, man? It's like coming from you and Brighton, you're going to talk to me about freaking Forest and Textor. You know, it still needs, I'd say, at least 4 more. We need a couple more wingers because we got rid of a couple of our squad players as well. So the depth needs to be there for the European campaign, be that Europa or Conference, which we'll find out on Monday. But yeah, it still needs work. I'm still not fully convinced the squad is quite ready. There are signs. We played Fiorentina yesterday, who actually looked pretty good. Still didn't score, the whole other thing. But yeah, it still needs work, bro. But I'm a guy who likes deals done early in the transfer window. So the new players come in, they get the preseason, they get those games, they get to embed with the squad. Forest went away to Portugal this year, like the team bonding thing where they were staying on a resort for a while. And I want those new players in there so they get to know the team. Because if anyone you bring in now, I feel they're not going to be quite ready for the new season. Like Douglas Luiz is sounding very close at the moment with Forest. Once he comes in, he hasn't played many games for Juve last year. So how's his match sharpness and fitness going to be? Is he going to be ready for, we got Brentford, I think, first game. Is he going to be ready to be chucked straight in? Probably not. And that's why I want these deals done nice and early, get the business done, and then put the squad together. So yeah, I think we'll be okay, because I look at the league and I think underneath us, who's improved?
Well, you're not going to go down or anything stupid like that.
No. I'm just saying in terms of where we can potentially be next year. I look below us. Brighton haven't done much. Bournemouth have been shredded. Brentford have been shredded.
Yeah.
You look at the two teams that everyone expects to bounce back up, United and
Everton
Spurs.
have improved a little bit.
Everton have done it. I think
Yeah.
Everton could do what Forest did last season. I think they're quietly putting a good squad together. So outside of that, I look at Man U. They brought in three now with Sesko.
Yeah.
I think they've just ignored their issue, which is their midfield and their goalkeeper. So I'm not convinced what United do. And Spurs, I mean, they're such a small club, they can't even take our fifth best player. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about Spurs either. So I think just by default, even though I'm not pleased with how we've moved the needle in the transfer window, I look beneath us and I don't see that many improvements. So I think Forest will still be fighting for the top 10. Will it be Europe again or not? I don't know.
Yeah, bro, I hear you on that. I think that's a reasonably fair evaluation of the situation. I think you make a good point about obviously getting the signings in early. Obviously, you know, it's not always possible for every deal to be done like that, but I think that's where we've had a bit of a touch in terms of being in the Club World Cup, because we've actually had the situation where we've already seen these players actually play for the team before the season's even begun. And I'm not saying that's like some, oh my God, it's an amazing advantage, but it definitely gives you a bit of a helping hand because the guys have already settled into the team. They've played for the team. They've got to know the squad and they've got a bit of an understanding of the tactics already. I mean, I agree with you that obviously, yeah, you want to get the players in regardless, but anyone joining now has missed the entire pre-season training camp, is not going to have any idea how the team plays or any idea of the tactics. And that it's going to take them probably an additional few weeks longer to get up to speed than it perhaps should have done. Now, obviously, yeah, we can caveat that by saying, no, not all players are available early on in the window. Some deals might change here and there. But I do think the bulk of your business is done after your main pre-season training camp. You are putting yourself at a, I don't want to say distinct disadvantage, because I think that's a bit much, but it's you're putting yourself at a disadvantage compared to other teams. But bro, in regards to Elanga, obviously that's the big outgoing. 55 million quid, about right for a player of his, you know, of his type, of his quality. You see Joao Pedro going for the same price, see Madueke going for a similar price, and others in and around that 50 to 55 million pound mark. Firstly, do you think that was a fair deal? And secondly, are you disappointed he's gone?
Yes and no. Elanga for me was really important last season, but he was patchy. Like he would get into these hot purple patch streaks and then look unplayable. It's about consistency with Elanga. Obviously his biggest weapon is his pace. Everyone saw the goal he scored against United where he just took it from our box all the way there, just rapid. I think in like 7 to 9 seconds he got from one end to the other and scored. But it was against United. Is he going to be a loss? It depends. I said at the time, I will judge my opinion on whether it's a bad sale or a good sale based on what we replace him with. And there was talks of Tim Weah coming in that got close, and then he rejected.
In the end,
yeah, he looks like he's a scrub, man. But we ended up with Dan Doy, who I think has the potential, but is he proven in this league? He did well at Bologna last season, but every player you bring in, for especially from an external league, always for me comes with an element of risk. Right, even if they're a player renowned for being good and what have you, coming to the Premier League, the physicality, the pace of it is a lot different. So it's one to judge. Would I have sold Elanga? Probably not. I would have rather sold Gibbs White than Elanga, if I'm being honest with you, out of the two. Because I just think Elanga, I think his GA last season was 17. Which was really good.
11. He was double figures for assists, wasn't he?
Yeah, 6 goals, 11 assists. So, and he was the source of a lot of Chris Wood's goals.
That is decent output. Yeah. It's not bad at all for a winger.
Yeah, but it was quite like constricted. If you look across the season, the first couple of months, I don't think he was really firing. It was around that Villa game. I remember when we beat Villa 2-1 at home. He came on as a sub and he just cooked them. And then from that, he kicked on. And then he faded a bit for me towards the end of the season. He had like that middle third that was really red hot for him. If he can spread that out over a length of the season, I mean, he's still young. People forget how young he is in his early 20s. Got a lot of potential. I just think he needs to do the simpler things in football better. I want him to be a winger. where he takes the fullback on with his pace. He goes outside the fullback. He has a tendency for me to overcut inside, because he kind of feels like he can get more goals, and I get that. But his best product's been when he gets to that byline, he finds Chris Wood in the box, gives him a nice tap in. So I think, look, I don't think it's a massive down. It's either par or slightly less, in my opinion, on Dan Doy. The net is bigger for Forest. We sold him for 55-ish million, and we bought Dan Doy for about 35 million. So there's a net profit there for Forest, obviously with PSR and what have you. My bigger concerns are mainly the midfield. We need a Douglas Luiz in there. We need someone who can dictate the tempo of the game. Forest haven't, since we've been back, been able to control a midfield. And I think that comes down to having a good 6 or an 8 in there. We've got Anderson, who I think is fantastic. He
done well last season,
Yeah, and he did really well in the under-21s in the summer as well. There's a lot there to like. The interesting thing is that apparently it's come out that Nuno wants to change the style that Forest play, because he's kind of admitted that we got found out towards the end of last season.
Oh yeah, mate, we spoke about this like a few times on various different shows there, how like that style of football has got a shelf life. Like once you're found out, it was almost like similar to, when Leicester won the league playing 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And then because no one had really come up against 4-4-2 for years.
Yeah.
The following season, they just did the same thing and they were absolutely nowhere. And I think it's a little bit the same with Forest in terms of that style of play works. It's got a shelf life, but once teams have worked out how to play against it, I think you saw towards the end of last season that
they just gave us the ball. They were like, all right, you don't want the ball? Have the ball.
Because like that's what you've done there. You were winning games having very, very little
35%.
Of the ball, but just being very efficient with it.
Yeah.
That's never going to work long term. I mean, obviously the style's changed a bit this pre-season, hasn't it?
But
if
you hadn't told me that he was looking to change his style, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to tell.
So it's not much different.
The honest answer. He's changing. He's tried different formations. He's gone 4-3-1-2. Yesterday he went 4-2-2. He's trying to embed both Jesus and Wood as a front two. I don't like that. I don't like that, if I'm being honest with you. It looked a bit better yesterday because Jesus was playing almost as a shadow striker, so dropping in slightly deeper than Wood. But I don't know, bro. It's like the positives are the likes of Murillo signed a new contract. Obviously, Gibbs White signed a new contract. Spells signed a new contract. Callum Hudson-Odoi is close. Aina
signed a new deal as well.
He signs a new one. He's a baller, man. And I think Nico Williams. So the core, this is the thing that I was getting chucked out a lot, but like, so you and others, your squad's going to get ripped apart over the summer. We've only lost one first-team player in Alanga. The rest are all signed up pretty much, barring Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's in negotiations now. They've all signed new contracts. So where you've seen like a Bournemouth get ripped to shreds,
Brentford as well,
those kind of teams, that hasn't happened to us. So the signs are good, but it still needs a lot of work, bro. So I'm not fully happy with the transfer window. I want more done.
Bro.
We always do, don't we?
I hear that. Before we get your thoughts on Chelsea, I know you must be bored of it by now, but the whole Gibbs White thing, obviously from an outsider looking in, that was all just seemed quite mad. I don't think it was really public knowledge, or at least not wide public knowledge, that there was even a release clause in the deal.
Yeah.
The release clause gets activated, and then within like a couple of hours, you get the here we go, and it's a deal done, and then nothing for a couple of weeks, and then suddenly it's like, Spurs have. I don't know what Spurs have done. I don't know if we'll ever really find out what Spurs did, but it's ultimately ended up with Gibbs White signing what's been reported as a record contract at Forest.
150,
the extension, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it only a year or two longer?
Yeah, so he had 2 years left on the deal. It's now 3. The main purpose was to get rid of the release clause.
So you reckon that's fully gone now?
Yeah, no, that's been confirmed. There's no release clause. They haven't even increased it. There's also no gentleman's agreement for him to leave next summer. It's just a straight, here's more money for no release clause thing been done. So that's done. I mean, what did Spurs do? We'll never know. But if you look objectively at it, if Spurs felt that they had hit the release clause and had obtained the release clause under legal circumstances, then why haven't they kicked up a fuss? It's kind of just all been moved on. So I do personally look at it and think maybe the agent who's got a good relationship with Spurs had a conversation. Who knows? I mean, I'm only speculating
because that's
here.
the only way that sort of information is going to get out is from people in Gibbs White's camp, because Forest obviously haven't advertised to anyone that there's a release clause in there.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was under NDA and what have you. But yeah, he stayed. Look, I didn't mind him leaving. He's not a 10 for me. He needs to drop into an 8.
Yeah, played an 8, yeah.
The man can't shoot. He played an 8 yesterday and he was brilliant. That's his best game this preseason. The rest he's looked very passenger-like. So I don't know. Nuno's got some headaches here. I want to see him switch to a 4-3-3.
So you could go Gibbs White and Anderson as number 8s potentially, and if you brought in a Douglas Luiz,
we've got Sangare
as well. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against dropping Gibbs White if Douglas Luiz comes in and go Anderson, Sangare, and Sangare and Luiz as a 3. I like that. I think that gives us more control in the midfield. And then you can use Gibbs White for, say, a lesser team. We could go 4-2-3-1, put him in the 10 and what have you. But yeah, I don't know, bro. There's a lot of work to do. I think it's very unknown now. No, I'm not a Yates fan.
Is Yates still there?
He's still there. He'll never leave, bro.
No, he just is.
He'll never leave, bro. He's that guy that will always be there. I don't think he's good enough for the Premier League. I don't mind him as a backup if you're 1 or 2-0 up against say we were playing you 1 or 2-0 up last 20 minutes. You want to bring him on, you know what I'm saying? And just he's a disruptor. He'll get fouls, he'll slow the game down and what have you. But as a pure footballer, I don't rate what he does on the pitch. But I know a lot of opposition fans hate him for his shenanigans on the pitch.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting, because I think a lot of people, and we have a lot of banter about, in the Race for Europe chat and that about Forest falling away next season. I think it's really quite interesting because you do see teams that will do something similar to what Forest did, have a season that no one expected them to have. And then the big thing here is, how do you follow that up? Because we've seen teams do it as a one-off, and it's always much harder doing it that second time around. But as you touched on earlier, bro, the teams that Forest might be looking over their shoulder at, Brentford have been completely decimated. Bournemouth have lost a lot of key players as well. Man United and Tottenham have made some improvements here and there, but there's no guarantees they go straight back into fighting for the top 6, top 7. If they make the top half, that's good progress for them. So I don't know. Yes, you need more for sure. You definitely need more, and it's not just about more in terms of the first team. It's about more in terms of the quality and depth as well, and the different options. Because particularly them wide areas. I mean, I don't know your squad as well as you, but you're looking at Hudson-Odoi and Ndoye, and then
it's going to be fun for the commentators.
Yeah, Hudson-Odoi, Ndoye, yeah. But is that pretty much it?
It is what I'm saying. There's talks that Nuno wants another 2 to 3 wingers. He likes playing wide formations.
Bro, we've got some. If you want Tyreek George potentially, brother, we can sort.
No, we're good. I've seen some in the chat saying, "Do you want Jackson?" We are not interested.
You can have Jackson. You could have Jackson, Tyreek George. I'm sure we can find someone else in the wide areas that we don't
I would
need.
have taken what's his face, the Leicester boy.
Dewsbury Hall.
I'd have taken him. Yeah, I think
he's just playing pro. That's as well. By the way, 25 mil is a decent price for him.
That's a good deal, man. That's a good deal. So
it's a good deal.
He's a good player, but yeah, no, we still need work on the wings, bro. But am I worried about this whole European thing? Not really.
You still don't know yet, do you? In terms of Conference League or Europa League?
Yeah, we'll find out. The case is on Friday. Palace fans are still crying away about it.
Isn't the draw before Friday though?
No, the draw for the playoffs happened on Monday, just gone.
Oh, it's already happened.
The playoff draw, because we know.
We know, mate. We had to play Servette, but we actually lost the second leg to them. I think we only went through by 1 goal in the end. We
So,
beat
yeah,
them like
so
we beat them
Palace
2-0
drew
at home.
that team, you know, the one that's always in the Champions League, Metro.
Oh, Midtjylland or something.
Yeah, that
The
one.
Danish team, bro. They're okay. I mean, the Palace.
They're all right. It's quite a hard draw.
They're
So,
okay, but yeah, Palace won't lose to them. Absolutely no chance.
it might be us. It might be us because
But
we'll
it
see
could
what the
also be
decision
you,
goes.
yeah.
I'll be very surprised if it gets overturned because Palace have no leg to stand on. So they're trying to they're crying and snitching, and they've dragged us.
I've not really paid too much attention to it because it's not really of interest to me. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see what happens. But we'll come back to Forest a little bit later on. What have you made of Chelsea? Obviously, we've had a busy summer as always. A lot of players leaving, number of players coming in. Hopefully, Xavi Simons will get over the line. Unfortunately, it looks like we are going to go for Garnacho as well later this month.
Are you?
I think so, mate. Yeah, that all reports and all indications are suggesting that once the Xavi Simons deal is wrapped up, once there's a resolution to the Simons deal, we will make a move for Garnacho. Obviously, very much wants to be on our terms, and Chelsea don't really want to pay more than 30 million pounds for him. I mean, United are desperate to get rid. Garnacho is waiting for Chelsea. So, I mean, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one.
How stupid are United, bro? Like I said to a couple of my United mates, if you were second-hand car dealers, you would never sell a car, bro, because they're too honest in a way. They're like, here's our car, the exhaust is blown, the tires are shot, the handbrake don't work. Do you want to buy it?
Like every time, Amarim says, or it's every time it's made clear he's not part of the plan.
Exactly.
He's leaving. Sometimes things don't work out. Every time the public comments on the manager or anyone associated with the club come out about you not wanting a player, the price just drops and drops and drops.
Exactly.
And look, I'm not for this. People in the chat will know that I'm not pro this Garnacho signing. However, if there was a deal that we could do for, say, £30 million, or it was a loan with an obligation similar to what we did with Jadon Sancho, for example, then for someone to come in and be a squad option and a main player, I don't think that rather than a main player, that doesn't ruin the window.
You don't need him. You don't need him.
Oh, yeah, that's my point. We don't need him. But my point would be, though, if it's a similar deal to Sancho, or you can get him for £30 million, it's almost win-win, because if he does well outside of that United environment, you've got yourself a bargain. If not, we know in a couple of years' time they can sell him for 50 million to Arsenal, and it will be fine. So it's one of them. I mean, other people saying, oh, it's going to ruin the transfer window, it's going to take it from an 8 or a 9 out of 10 down to a 2, and I'm just like, guys, it's not going to ruin the transfer window. If he was the only attacking signing and the main one, then that's more of a conversation. But the fact he'd just come in and be an option is, I'm not for it, and I'm not just because the numbers for the deal might be good, that doesn't suddenly make him a good player, or make Chelsea need him. But I think some people have been well over the top with sort of the criticism of it potentially.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your window in general, I think you've had a really good window. Pedro looks like he hit the ground running off the bat at the Club World Cup. I'm not fully sold on Delap. I don't mind him as a project striker. I hate that term, but in the long term,
that's what he is, bro.
Yeah, I know, but I still look at Pedro. I don't think he's a straight out 9.
No, he's like a 9.5.
Exactly that. I still think like Chelsea. I'm surprised Chelsea didn't go for it. I know you've got your whole age thing, but like an Osimhen in there or something like that.
We tried last summer, and then that boat on, yeah.
But one of those ones, just a straight out 9, would have done really well for you. I like the rest of your sign. I already think your midfield was really solid and strong to start with anyway. And if you can keep Lavia fit, he's an absolute baller.
We've got Santos in the mix now as well.
I was just gonna say you got Santos. I'm still pissed off what Steve Cooper did with Santos.
It's funny that, isn't it? How literally, because I remember at the time when he went, I was like, right, that's going to be a great loan deal for him. And he played about 2 times.
No, he played once in a League Cup match, and that was it. And like I remember we were talking, I was fuming, bro, because this guy,
it's good.
I liked what I'd seen of him. We'd obviously talked about him and stuff, And now, I mean, it shows you how good your midfield is that he can't get into your midfield. He wouldn't be a starter for you guys, but I think he gets into 60-70% of the Premier League's midfield. That's how highly I rate him. He's had a great season in the last kind of year and a half as well. So yeah, I wouldn't actually mind him back at Forest. I think it's exactly what we need in midfield.
Boxes for a 6 and an 8. He tick both. He does tick those
exactly.
Boxes.
Yeah, he's perfect.
I am very surprised he wasn't used more often. I really am. But yeah,
apparently the story was that Cooper never sanctioned it. He turned up and Cooper didn't even know he was there, and he kind of threw a hissy fit. But it is what it is. But yeah, in terms of the rest of it, I look at Chelsea and I think, look, where's the massive gaping issue? For me, it's the goalkeeper.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's the goalkeeper. And the fact that you've done all this business that you've done in the summer, players, even the players you got out, you look at them, think they all make sense in general, the ones you got out. How this goalkeeper hasn't been addressed is beyond me. I know you nearly got Magic Mike and then that fell down.
Well, we weren't prepared. We weren't prepared to meet the valuation.
How much was it? Was it like 25? Something like
that? Well, Milan wanted between 20 to 25 million. A deal could have been done at 20 or 18 plus add-ons, but we just didn't do it. You know, we refused.
That's not even expensive. Well, how much did you spend on Kepa years ago? I just think you guys have got PTSD from your Kepa deals and things like that. This is not an expensive deal to be done.
No, it wasn't. And look, and this is what's so frustrating, right? From my point of view, and I'm sure, I mean, some Chelsea fans might agree, some might not, is that you'll do all this good business, which has been widely acknowledged. You've done good business this summer. And then when you're presented with an opportunity to improve a key position in the team, there's not that many top goalkeepers available on the market. When you're presented with that opposition, that proposition to do it, and you opt not to because you're not prepared to go £5 or £6 million higher for a goalkeeper. Yes, he had 1 year left on his contract. Yes, he's 29 or whatever. About that for a goalkeeper is quite young.
Still young, yeah.
That's when you get really frustrated. It's like, guys, that was literally in the palm of our hands there to go and get a top-class goalkeeper, and we refused. But I think we're just going to have... What I would say, by the way, and this is not me defending Sanchez in any way, there has been some improvements in his form towards the end of last season and through the Club World Cup. However, when you look at his overall 2 years at Chelsea, it's been a net negative having him in the team. There's no doubt about it. I would have rather have had Sells. You know, Sells was at Strasbourg. Obviously, he was moved on quickly because he was like 30 or something. Bro, didn't he? He had a very, very good season last season.
Golden Glove.
I would have rather have had him in goal. But yeah, I agree. Look, never say never.
The thing with the keeper, Charlie, is that it's not just about even if he's improved. I mean, I saw him in the Club World Cup. Yeah, he was okay.
He was better. He was better, yeah.
His distribution is still that worries me, and that's the thing. It's the trust that he puts into that line in front of him. That's my worry. That defensive line. How much do they trust him?
They don't trust him. You can tell when you're in the stadium.
It doesn't matter if he's improved because in the back, psychologically, in their mind, they've got to be 100% alert at all times that you could bowl a stinker out to them or put a mad pass or whatever else crazy things he does come in off the line. And that's the point. When you've lost that trust with your defensive line, that's when it's not, it's untenable. You've got to move him on. And you guys haven't. I remember we were talking last year. You had like 8 keepers on the books, man. Surely one of those has got to be better.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like a lot of those were like academy and development squad, so nothing to do with the first team. But then obviously Kepa's gone. We sold him 5 million to Arsenal. Petrovic's gone to Bournemouth for 25 mil. The young kid Penders, who I think
Petrovic not better than him.
He is. But obviously the people at the club didn't think so. And so you're sort of in a difficult position at that point. You know, they didn't think he was better. As you say, there's not many keepers in the market. You look at Magnan was available, probably not now. Look at Donnarumma might be available, but again, I'm not sure Chelsea would go for him. You look at someone like a Diogo Costa, who would be available at Porto potentially, but again, he's someone that gets talked about every summer. He's always linked with a move, and then nothing ever happens. So yeah, look, that's disappointing from that perspective. Obviously, outgoings, we've done some good business. We always sell very, very well. The fees we're able to get for players that you wouldn't be able from Arsenal for starters. You wouldn't think you'd be able to get. Just this week, Dewsbury Hall's gone for 25 mil. Ugo Chukwu gone to Burnley for the league to be a minimum of 20 million pounds, could be more. Broja, 20 million pounds to Burnley as well. We're getting money in, and you've still got the likes of Renato Vega, Sterling, Chilwell, Disasi, amongst others. Tyreek George probably going to leave as well. So there's still 5 or 6 players more that we can sell on a permanent basis that could net us another 150 million pounds, which is mental, really, when you think about it. And it sort of almost in a way kind of justifies the model to a certain extent. You sort of got 3 options at Chelsea. When you sign, you either make a success of yourself, whether that's through a loan first or whatever, you make an instant impact. You're sent to Strasbourg where there's European football, or you're sold for a profit. And we move players on very quickly. That's the one thing that I would say is a good thing, is that if you come in, it almost doesn't matter how much money's been spent on you. If you're not doing the business within a season or so, the club will move you on. There's no sentiment. There's no hanging about. Because I think you get the feeling that some clubs hold on to players way longer than they should.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with your model, because to a lesser extent, we got that when we came up. Oh, Forest bought 30 players. Oh, who the hell do they think they are?
A lot of those were loan deals, and loads of guys were out of contract.
Exactly. We had a squad of like 7 fully signed on players and what have you. Everyone's always going to criticize something that is against the norm. If you don't buy players, you're criticized for not buying players. If you buy players, why are you buying so many? If you buy the right amount of players, why haven't you invested in a better caliber of player? Everyone's going to find something to criticize. I was on a stream yesterday, I can't remember where it was, but I was saying, when you compare the Chelsea model to the Arsenal model, I actually think the Chelsea model right now is looking better, because you're picking up what the main difference for me is. While you're doing this buy and sell, you've picked up trophies along the road.
Yeah.
You've picked up the Club World Cup, you've picked up the Conference League trophy. Arsenal haven't done that. And that's adding pressure to Arsenal. Arsenal now have to win a major. I don't think Arteta can get away with winning a Carabao Cup this season, or he shouldn't be getting away with a Carabao Cup.
Be better.
Yeah, whereas Chelsea, if you were to go trophyless this season, but maybe finish 2nd or 3rd, your fan base would look at that and see progress. Now, what I don't agree with the Chelsea fan base, and obviously I'm kind of generalizing, is this whole downplaying of where Chelsea should be. When I talk to Chelsea fans about should you be in a title race, don't say the word title to me. We're only in phase 2, we're not Arsenal phase 6 and what have you. I don't understand why, when Chelsea are historically a team that has won the Premier League, has been picking up trophies, why it's so taboo this summer for Chelsea fans to talk about a title race. Now, you don't have to go and necessarily win it, but I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that you could, if Liverpool don't click, if they pick up injuries, if the money you've spent on these players, we're in agreement here that you've had a good window. What's the goal of this? Is obviously to eventually win the league. So why not have a go at it? There's no harm. Man, I was sitting here saying Forest were in a title race last year with Chess. Did I think we were going to win it? No. But why can't I dream? Why have Chelsea fans reduced their expectations?
Do you know the thing is, right? We showed last season with obviously a worse squad than we've got now, that for half a season, we were able to compete. We had an opportunity to momentarily go top of the league before Christmas against Everton. We drew 0-0, and then from that point onwards, we had quite a big dip. But we have shown that for half a season, we were capable of challenging for the title. I think now the reinforcements we've got, with everyone a year under playing under Enzo Maresca, with Maresca with a year's experience at this level, a year's experience working at Chelsea, that if we find ourselves in that position again, we need to be looking at, right, okay, last year we fell away at Christmas. Can we stay in the picture until February, March time next time round? Can we stay in a title race for longer? Now, no one's saying that Chelsea are going to win the Premier League, but I think that a bare minimum, in my opinion, has to be a top 3 finish, which I think we are capable of. Obviously, it would be interesting to see how we cope with the return to the Champions League, because obviously last season we were a Conference League and we were able to play 2 different 11s from midweek to weekend, which won't be the same in that Champions League. But I don't see how it's unreasonable in any situation to expect us to compete for as long as possible at the top of the table.
But what I don't understand is why your fan base doesn't think like that.
I think most of them do. I think some
no, bro. There's many fans that are saying, "Well, this isn't the year we're aiming for," and what have you.
Yeah.
Why not have that aim, man? Like, I've grown up watching Chelsea win leagues, of competing, the Mourinho era, so on and so forth. And you always, once you get yourselves into a title race, you do tend to win those races.
Yeah, bro.
So it's in your DNA, is my point. And why not have those extra demands? You spent nearly 2 billion on players now. I know you're going to give me the net and all that stuff. But I agree with this, that you should be in a title race. There's no excuses. If you don't win it, cool. But at least have the ambitions to be there.
Yeah. The ambition has to, that should always be the ambition at Chelsea to be competing at a bare minimum to win the league. That should be the ambition. Look, don't get me wrong. All the trophies are great, and it's fantastic winning, Conference League or Club World Cup or whatever. That's brilliant. FA Cup or League Cup, if we can do that next season, great. We haven't won a domestic trophy since the FA Cup in 2018. But the biggest thing, we want that league title. Nothing beats, in my opinion, winning the Premier League.
Yeah.
Nothing beats winning the Premier League. Bro, we've not won the Premier League since 2017. It could be 10 years since we last won the title, or more if we're not careful. And that's too long for a club with our history, for a club of our size, for what we've won in the past, for the money that's been invested in the playing team. That's too long. The league has to be the bread and butter. Yes, the Champions League is great. But if you gave me a choice next season, would you rather win the Champions League or the Premier League? Bro, I'd rather win the Premier League, because it's been 7, 8 years, 9 years since we won the league. And since we last won it, we haven't even come close. There's not been one challenge at all. So, look, everyone's entitled to their opinions. But for me, Chelsea have got to get back to competing in the Premier League.
Let me ask you this, Charlie. Do you think you can finish ahead of Arsenal next season?
I think it's possible, yeah. I think we definitely can. I'm not saying 100% Chelsea will finish ahead of Arsenal, but it's not out of the question. It's not out of the remit. And I think there's a very, very real chance we can and we will finish above Arsenal.
So that would, let's assume most people are saying Liverpool are favourites, Arsenal second favourites. Everyone seems to forget Man City exists, but let's go with that narrative for now. So if you think there is that realm of possibility that you should or could, and I agree with you, I think you may actually finish ahead of Arsenal next season, then challenging isn't that far off for the title. You should be in a title race. I agree with you. If you're in there till about March time, that would probably match my expectations of where I think you should be. Obviously, everyone's going to say Liverpool are going to win the league, and I understand why. But Arsenal, for me, they're going through this phase now where second ole 3 times in a row now. That starts to affect players mentally.
Bro, that's hard to pick yourself up again year after year.
Exactly.
After year.
It gets to the stage where those players will be thinking to themselves, and that fraud of a manager, Arteta, it's just never going to happen. You get that mental block. It's like, I saw it like with Forest playoffs. Anytime we're in a playoff, it's like, yeah, we're not going up. Our record in playoffs is horrific. And you get to that mindset where you are your biggest issue. And I can see that happening to Arsenal, especially even now they got Gyökeres and they've signed a few decent players. I just think mentality and the leadership with Arteta is going to be their stumbling block. So I think this is a good opportunity for Chelsea to overtake them, to become into that group with Liverpool. And I still think, by the way, Man City are there. I wouldn't be surprised if Man City win it.
Mate, I think people are sleeping on Man City to a certain degree. There doesn't really seem to be anyone talking about them. And that's probably when they're most dangerous, when City are just going under the radar. No one's really making a bit of a song and dance about them. No one's really speaking about them in this transfer window. It's almost like they've been forgotten about to a certain extent, which is pretty dangerous. But I'd agree. Look, there's no doubt about it. Liverpool have done exceptional business. They brought in some top players. They're a team to beat. If they get Alexander Isak as well, it's mad. But again, we've seen it before. Just because you've got loads of good players doesn't make it a good team. We've seen Real Madrid in the Galactico era.
Exactly.
It doesn't equate to
last season, bro. They got Mbappe in and everything. What did they win? Nothing. Yeah.
They didn't win anything. But do you know what I mean? Like, so whilst if Liverpool get Isak and they whatever else they may or may not do, it's an exceptional transfer window on paper, and some of the players and the names they've brought in would be outstanding. And you would expect them to be there or thereabouts and win the league. But there's no guarantee that an Isak goes into that team and everything clicks and they start firing, And
then what do they do? Their Katike.
Do they
play him out on the left? Do they sub him?
Yeah.
There's gonna be some form of who gets into what. And the other thing, and I say this to Liverpool fans and they take it the wrong way, and I don't really care because I'm not saying it the wrong way. When Slot hasn't been under pressure in a title race, I haven't seen how he reacts to a tight race, a Klopp versus Pep kind of race where he's being pressured, where you cannot draw, where you have to win. He got to, and on merit, by the way, they got to walk it last year because everyone else.
There's no pressure on them at all. Yeah.
Now, when you look at the pressure situations for him last season, cup final against Newcastle, he lost it. PSG in the Champions League lost it. So I want to see what he's like under pressure of a title race. Now, I'm not saying he can't do it. I just want to see how he reacts to it because that's a different pressure, especially if you got a Pep breathing down your neck.
Yeah.
But everyone knows Man City, if they're firing, Pep can get them to go W the second half of the season all the way in. Can he do that? That's the question there.
I agree. I just want to quickly discuss this. This has come up. I mean, Pete was saying that Newcastle are not in for Jackson anymore. Looks like they could well be. I mean, I need to be careful what I say about Newcastle because Pete's accused me of being a Newcastle hater. But I'm definitely not. But Benjamin Sesko,
you are a bit, mate. You are.
No. Benjamin Sesko looks like he's going to go to Man United. Newcastle's options are running out. They are running out. We know they're the. Do you know what the thing is now? Right now that Newcastle have shown their hand that they've got 85, 90 million euros to commit to a centre forward, they're going to have an issue now because teams know they've got that money to spend. So
if they pay any more than 40 million for Jackson,
Jackson is worth way more than 40 million in this market, and they will pay that as well. A team will pay that as well.
He is not,
bro. I don't think, like, banter aside, I don't think it is ridiculous that Sesko chose United. People look at Man United; they're in the dumps. They've been terrible for years. But people don't realise how much the history and the size of a club comes into people's thoughts when choosing to sign. Man United could finish 17th every season and they'd still sign top players. That's just the way it is. I mean, just quickly on Newcastle, bro. I mean, Newcastle had a great season last year. They've been in the Champions League 2 out of the last 3 years. They won their first trophy in 70-odd years. And now they're having a summer from hell, where they're probably going to lose their best player in Isak, and seemingly every player they're going for is rejecting them.
Bro, they've nearly had a whole squad of rejections. That's how crazy it is.
It's brutal, isn't it?
I've got it here. Ekitike, Delap, Sesko, Mbuemo, Pedro, Kudos, Gehi, Howson, and Trafford. And it is crazy. That's nearly a whole squad of rejection. Now, questions have to be asked. Why?
They've got no sporting director or no CEO.
Yeah, I get that, but there's still someone doing the negotiations. These are rejections. This is
straight up, no denial.
And this is, as you said, a Newcastle team with Champions League football. Now, had we beaten you on that final day of the season, we'd have gone in. Newcastle would have been out. Where would they be right now without Champions League? And on top of that, I think, did I ask Pete this or Specs or a Newcastle fan? I said to them, out of the players they've brought in, because they've only got in Ramsdale and Elanga, I think it's the two they've brought in. Could they have got those players without Champions League football? I think they could have. So the attraction of Champions League is not holding weight with Newcastle, with players to Newcastle at the moment. Therefore, there is a bigger underlying issue. Could it be as simple as it's too far north? Because players wanting to come, there is always that London attraction, capital city, the lights and everything.
But Manchester's not far from Newcastle. It's not a million miles away. But no, bro, you're definitely right. There is, there's nothing against the north of England, bro. I love going to Newcastle for the games. I love going to, Manchester, Liverpool, and whatnot. But there is something to be said that the London lifestyle for players is a big pull, particularly if they've got partners as well. That has a big say in the situation as well. But I just look at it and think, bro, Newcastle are a massive football club. It's a great stadium. It's a great fan base. It's a brilliant place to play your football.
They're a big football club within England, but are they a big global football club?
No, I wouldn't say they're a big global football club. No, probably not.
And I think that there lies the issue for me. Even with all the money they have, I get it. There's PSR restrictions and stuff.
Yeah,
there has to be serious questions asked. And I think if I'm a Newcastle fan, the most disturbing thing I'm seeing is Darwin Núñez going to Saudi. Because
bro, why didn't they try for him?
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's PIF are basically now funding Liverpool's move.
Yeah, bro, I think I said that in the chat the other day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is basically what's happening, bro.
It's crazy.
And also the a lot of the Club World Cup money was put in by PIF as well. So technically, PIF basically paid us a large majority of our prize money, which paid for Liam Delap and Joao Pedro, which ironically were two players that Newcastle missed out on as well. I just, do you know what it is, mate? Newcastle is not unattractive, but like Aston Villa, what they're going to find is when they go to the table for the caliber of player they're looking to sign, Newcastle 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, with the way that kind of the football food chain is, if an Arsenal or a Chelsea, a Liverpool, a Man City or a Man United, etc., are at the table for a player as well as Newcastle aren't going to get picked. And that might sound harsh, but Newcastle and teams like that, if they're going to remain competitive and stay in that top 4, top 5, they're almost going to have to say, do you know what? Yes, we've tried. Our scouting's good. Our talent ID is good, but we're not going to be able to compete with the top players with these clubs. What we need to do is do what Brighton do, but perhaps to a higher degree. We need to find the next talents. We need to go and get a Bruno Guimaraes. We need to go and find, an Anthony Gordon when no one else is really prepared to take a punt on him. Do you know what I mean? Those sorts of things.
I kind of do agree with that narrative, but I would say this food chain is splitting. I don't think it's a big 6 anymore. I think it's a big 4.
I would agree.
I think it's a big 4 because as much as United are trying to go on about who they've pulled and who they're, Sesko this and Buemo that, they're not talking about the fact that Gyökeres chose Arsenal over United. They're not talking about the fact that Delap went to Chelsea over United. And I'm starting to see United are running on fumes using their name because if they continue on the trajectory they are, in about 4 years' time, their name will mean nothing to this younger generation of footballers who have come in, who have seen them do nothing. We know what they did at our age, and we get why that name still holds weight. But holding weight doesn't last forever. So I think there's that split in that big 4, if you like, of Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. They seem to be pulling, you're eating first. Then you've got the United underneath it. Some would put Spurs in. I don't even want to discuss Spurs. I think there's a 3 of Villa, Newcastle, and Forest sitting just beneath that. And then you've got another group, and then obviously the relegation lot. So it's very clear there's a hierarchy right now in football. And it's fascinated me to see that Newcastle with Champions League haven't been able to pull in the signings they've wanted. They need to do what we've been doing. We've been fishing around Serie A. So we've got Dan Doy that we discussed earlier. We're looking at Douglas Luiz, Prem proven. Those kind of players will make a difference. Yes, you are taking an element of risk, but you need to mix that risk up. Like we've got Igor Jesus from Botafogo in Brazil. That comes with its risk, but it's offset by, say, getting a Douglas Luiz who's Prem proven.
Yeah.
So you can balance it out. they're just going. It's almost like they've put on Sky Sports News and like, right, who Liverpool linked to today? All right, let's go and have a crack at them as well.
There don't seem to be a plan.
Yeah,
But
there's no plan because there's no sporting director.
Exactly, and I wonder as well, mate. I wonder whether that's playing a big part in players not choosing Newcastle. What's the plan? There's no sporting director. What's the vision here? What's the next steps for this project? You see, the star player of the project, the poster boy, he wants out. He wants to leave.
Yeah.
You know, where is this Newcastle project going? And I think that might be playing into players' thinking as well on this one. I mean, just in regards to Nicolas Jackson, I mean, I've always maintained throughout this summer he's staying. I feel that I could be in for a bit of a cooking in the chat if he does leave. I mean, Fabrizio saying yesterday, gone from, likely to leave. He's then said last night on DAZN will leave. There's clearly something going on with Jackson. I mean, the Benjamin Sesko thing was always going to, whatever team missed out, Jackson was probably always going to jump up their list in terms of their thinking. We know what Newcastle have got to offer right now. I know you're not a huge fan of Nicolas Jackson. He scored 24 goals in 2 Premier League seasons. Replacing Isak with Jackson would be obviously a considerable downgrade. There's no doubt about it. However, Newcastle have got a major problem because who do they go for?
I think they need to go for a Vissa or a Mateta.
But they need, but they need both.
Both. They've shown they've got 19 mil.
Let's say they went for Jackson, right? You'd need Jackson and a Vissa. It can't be one or the other. You need both.
Well, I wouldn't be going for Jackson if I was new.
No.
I would be going Mateta and Vissa. They've shown they've got 90 mil. I think Vissa at max costs you 35 mil. He's not training with them. He's kicked up. He
wants out.
He wants to go. Mateta, I think Palace will deal around 40 mil. There or thereabouts for him. You're looking at 70 to 75 mil to get 2 players. I think that's a better deal than Sesko. I'm not that sold on this Sesko thing. Yeah, you get 2 prem-proven players who have bagged goals in teams that are more counter-attacking. Could they do it in a more attacking team in Newcastle? I think both of them could. I just think United fans celebrating this Sesko deal, they don't know what they're coming in for. Sesko is not that guy. He's not worth the 80 million or whatever it is they're spending on him. And I think in a way, if Newcastle could go and get a Vissa and a Mateta, it would be a blessing in disguise for them. I get it. We bantered everyone, poor Pete and all that on it, but they just got to get organized. And this comes back to what you said about the sporting director thing. They haven't got it. They're trying to get Forest one. They're trying to get Ross Wilson from us.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's ended up. It's gone quiet on that for the last week or two. But they just need to be logical with what they're doing. They just need to look at where the gaps are. Okay, if Isak is going, you can't replace Isak with one player. You're going to need a Mateta and a Vissa to come in and score the goals for him. Your boy Jackson is not it, bro. I remember sitting here with you 3 years ago, whenever it was when you got him, after he missed that sitter against Forest. I was like, this guy is not the guy. And you were like, yeah, but he can do this, develop, put another striker in. He's not that guy.
To be fair, though, you couldn't, right, if we sell him, which is looking like might happen, we sign him for 32 million, bro, we double our money on him in 2 years.
Yeah, but you know what your problem is? You're talking about football as money. Whereas football is about football, bro. It's congratulations, you made a profit. I don't care if my team runs at a loss as long as we're winning on the pitch.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I care about. You guys are over celebrating this profit thing. I get it because you pulled Arsenal's pants down and everything else. But now it's time to get serious and talk about is he good enough to start on the pitch? Forget what profit you make on him or whatever. I think he is not good enough for a title challenge. There's no one who will convince me.
Not the main man. Not the main man. I agree. Not the main man, absolutely. But in terms of being part of the squad, I've got no problem with him staying and being a rotation piece alongside Delap and alongside Joao Pedro. That's fine. If he doesn't want to do that, that's also fine. But he's under contract until 2033, which is ridiculous. But he's in this market. I mean, look, Chelsea have set their asking price. They wanted 80 million for him. Now we probably don't get
crazy money,
but I still think we get 65. Honestly, I do think we get 65.
Anyone who pays over 40, you've got some pictures on him.
Bro, he's going to go for well more than 40 million. I mean,
I wouldn't have him in my under 14s team. That's how little I rate him. He's just not that guy, bro. You lot have gassed him up and you keep gassing him up for years. You try and give me his goal record. But put it this way. When you played Newcastle towards the end of the season, you played better when he got sent off. You played better with him, with 10 men on the pitch without him there. He's not good.
No, I don't think he's as bad as what people make out, but you know,
he's not as good as you make out.
But what I would also say is that if you get an offer of 65 million from Newcastle, for example, you've more than doubled your money. You can't say no to that.
Okay, but look at this objectively. If he played for West Ham and did what he did at West Ham, did what he did at Chelsea at West Ham, what would you value him at?
I think if he done exactly the same at West Ham, I reckon he'd be valued at about 50.
50?
Yeah, bro. West Ham would value him at around 50, I reckon.
He's a 40 million player max. And he'd be a bad signing at 40 million.
But in this market, bro, whether we agree or disagree, he's worth significantly
more.
No,
I agree with what you're saying, that the valuations are inflated and what have you. I'm just saying they're a better. Would you, put it this way. Would you rather get him for 50 million or, I don't know, a Mateta for 50 million?
Depends for what role. It depends
Striker.
For what role. No, I know, but like to be what? To be a starter, to just be a squad piece? Like what are we talking? Are we talking main guy?
I don't care, man. To be your freaking dancing puppet, whatever. Who would you rather pay 50 million for in the Premier League to be a striker, Jackson or Mateta?
If I'm taking all things into consideration, age and whatnot, I would probably go for Jackson. I like Mateta, by the way.
Oh, you're
no, I do like Mateta. But I agree with what you said in regards to Newcastle. I actually think missing out on Sesko, depending on who they go for, could be a blessing in disguise. Because I agree with you. 70+ million pounds on Sesko is ridiculous money.
Sickening money, yeah.
It is ridiculous money. It's a striker who has got ability, got potential, unique profile and all this. He only scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga last year.
Exactly. And his whole thing is power shot, man. That's his like trait.
His ball striking's mad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's just got pure power on his shot, and he's decent in the air. I don't see it. It's because he's been hyped up. It's like Arsenal fans must be so relieved now that Berta shut Arteta up, and they ended up with Gyökeres instead of him. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I really don't.
I mean, mate, do you think Newcastle will move for Jackson now?
The problem with Newcastle is they're cornered. Their options are limited. If you think about it properly, they've got options of Visser, Mateta, Ollie Watkins. I don't think he leaves Villa.
I don't think Watkins goes either. Watkins would be if they got.
And I don't think Villa would sell him to Newcastle either. They're in that same bubble that I spoke about. In that kind of thing. So why would they sell directly to there? And then that's Jackson. That's it. Outside of that, who have you got in Europe? There's not many left. There's not many left who's moving. You know what I'm saying?
They're going to make a big difference as well. You know, that's the thing. And this is where you have to question Newcastle. What's the plan been? Why are these key positions at board level and in the hierarchy not filled? You know, why have they not better planned for Isak wanting to leave? Surely some people in the club must have had a feeling Isak could leave this summer.
And as you said, their problem is Callum Wilson is gone. Now, obviously, he's always injured, but if Isak goes as well,
they need two strikers left. They've got no strikers.
They need two. So they're already taking too long for the potential Isak replacement. I mean, I do think there's a crazy world where Isak ends up staying, and that fixes their issue.
I don't know how he can stay, though, after all this. I mean,
but we've seen that about Gibbs White.
We've seen things like in football like this before, but I just think it's very difficult for Isak to come back from this with Newcastle. But if Newcastle keep scenario where, then I don't know what they're going to. Because they won't sell him without a replacement.
Yeah, the only way I see him staying is if Newcastle sit him down and say, "Look, we get it. You want to leave. we're not in a position to let you go this summer. You've seen it. We've tried to get a replacement that we think is equivalent or thereabouts. Not happened. We need a year. We'll have a gentleman's agreement. You can go in the summer. We won't ask for 150. We'll ask for 130 or something like that. That's the only scenario I can see him staying in, is that they come to a gentleman's agreement, because otherwise the player power is the player power. That's the problem with it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, look, I'm not saying Newcastle are definitely going to go for him, but they're running out of options, bro. They're running out of options. But what I would say, though, if Chelsea do sell Jackson, we've got to go and get someone else as a striker, because you cannot. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, because people don't really agree with me on this in the chat. I don't think we can go into next season, Champions League football, potentially 60-plus games, with just Delap and Pedro as strikers. That's a big risk. It's a car crash waiting to happen. If one gets injured, you're looking to the bench and you've got no strikers on there. You're having to rely on a winger to play down the middle. So again, this also has implications for Chelsea, because if you sell Jackson, who are you going to go and get in the squad to replace him?
Yeah. And as I said to you earlier, I don't think Delap is quite ready to lead a title charge. And I think Pedro is that 9.5, the shadow striker. I still think you need a 9. You need a 9 who's kind of oven ready. Who that is, I don't know.
We do need someone else. We do need someone else. And this gets said all the time. Name me one team with 3 strikers playing 1 a game. But it's not about playing
Forest. We got 3.
It's not about playing 1 striker each game. All I'm saying is, bro, inevitably, one of Delap or Pedro is going to get suspended, or is going to get injured, or go for a shit run of form.
Yeah.
If you're then down to 1 striker, we saw what happened last season. 2 strikers went down in 1 game. We had no one. We had to play Pedro Neto down the middle. We had to play Tyreek George as centre forward. That's not going to run in the Champions League. That's not running in the Champions League. So we would have to go and get someone else. Who that someone else would be, I've got no idea. Maybe you go and get there's been talks of the young striker at Strasbourg. Maybe you bring that forward a year and you bring him in as a quote unquote.
Yeah, Mika Taudic from Lyon.
There might be a couple of options out there, but you're leaving yourself short if you go into a season with 2 centre forwards, bro. I mean, I just don't understand why you would do that. Surely there should be 3. I know a lot of teams now don't have 3 centre forwards in their squad. You have 2, and then there's someone else across the front line who can play there. But
we've got 3.
I think it's a big gamble. Would you agree it's a big gamble if you just went in?
No, I agree, because of the profile of the 2 you have. If Pedro was a clean 9 and Delap was the understudy as a clean 9, I get that. That's fine. If Pedro has had some title runs or played Champions League football, I get that as well. And then you have Delap learning off the back of him. But I just don't feel. I feel your 9 out of those 2 is Delap, not Pedro, and he's too inexperienced, bro. He was in a relegation battle with Ipswich last season. You know what I'm saying? He's not experienced enough. Now, I'm not saying he's going to flop, by the way. I'm just saying in terms of risk versus reward, when you weigh up the risks versus the reward, the probability is he's still not going to be ready. If you get to March and you're in the quarterfinals or whatever of the Champions League, you're pushing for a title race, is he going to be able to handle that pressure?
Yeah, that is a big thing. But also, by the way, with Delap, I like Delap. I think at £30 million release clause is a great value for money signing when you see what's going on. However, I do agree. He's had 1 season in the Premier League. Yes, he scored 12 goals and he did very well. Teams played very, very differently against Ipswich. They were on the front foot. Lots of space in behind. A lot of Delap's best stuff has come in transition.
Counter-attack, yeah.
Teams don't set up like that against Chelsea. Most teams will sit back. And it remains to be seen how Delap will adjust to playing a low block. I
think that's a very good point, and I think that's really important. Like, can he adjust it? He might be able to, but I'm looking at it from the risk to reward perspective. And that's the bit that I think question marks are still there. I don't know, bro. Like, who's left though that you can get?
Well, this
We've
is
already
it.
spoken about a couple there.
But I don't know if Chelsea will
Get
get
Ivan
someone,
Toney back from Saudi. I think he would still, that's
Bro,
like
I'd love to
stretching.
sign Ivan Toney, but I don't see that happening. This is the thing, like when you do stuff this late in the market, I'd love to think that there'd be a plan for someone. They would have thought about this eventuality, but I don't really know because I can easily see a situation where Jackson leaves and the quote unquote replacement in the squad is Garnacho, but he's not a centre forward.
Yeah.
So I can easily see that being the case. But I don't know. It's tricky, bro. It is tricky.
It's good problems to have, though. You put yourself in a position this transfer window where these are like nice to have.
Oh yeah, this is not
these
like...
are, if we are serious about a title race, this is what we need. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in that position. Whereas if you look at, I don't know, Spurs or United, they still need to sort their midfield out. Spurs need someone on the left. I'm not even convinced Solanke's good enough for Spurs. So they've got plenty of issues. You look at Newcastle, they're in issues. Right now, I think what you're going to discover about your club and your ownership in these next couple of weeks of the transfer window is what is their ambitions of this season. If you were to go and let's just say pull Toney out of Saudi, then I look at that and think the ambitions is a title race. Do you know what I mean? If you sell Jackson and don't replace him, then maybe they're just happy with the top 4 finish. So it'll be interesting to see, but you're better off in this position than where you were 2 years ago.
Oh, I agree, mate, massively. And this summer compared to last summer has been a significant improvement in terms of the business we've done, the players that we've signed. And it kind of finally feels like things are on the right track, which is great because it has been a while. It has been difficult at times, but it finally feels like things are starting to progress the right way. So yeah, we have to wait and see, mate. We have to wait and see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be interesting in what Forest are going to do in the remainder of the window as well, how the rest of the summer is going to pan out for them, how the season's going to start and whatnot. I think there's a lot of interesting things. But yeah, mate, we'll round it out there. Thanks so much for your time as always, bro. It's great to catch up. Mate, let the people know where to find you if they don't know. Yeah,
over on Forest Fan TV. I don't really.
That's it. When's the Eze announcement video coming?
Eze soon.
No, only bantering, mate. Yeah, guys, make sure you check out Forest Fan TV. Linked in the description, tagged in the title. Head over there, show Wolfie and the guys some love. Loads of great content. People, smash up the like, subscribe if you're new around here. On the road to 20k, not a million miles away. So yeah, make sure you do that. I will catch you lot again tomorrow, unless there's any major news today, in which I'll be back. If not, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Up the Chelsea, and we're out.